This is the moment you've all been waiting for, dividing fractions. So let's start right off with an example. 2/3 divided by 1/2. Now the rule with dividing fractions is a simple 3-letter phrase. Keep, change, flip. Well, what does that mean? That means the first thing we're going to do is keep our first fraction. So the 2/3, we're going to keep it exactly the same. We're going to keep it. Change is we're going to take the division symbol and change it to a multiplication symbol. Now you can't just change division to multiplication without doing something else, and that something else is flip. And we did this in the previous lesson, finding the reciprocal where we flip the fraction over. So you're going to flip 1/2 to say 2/1. So 2/3 divided by 1/2 is the same as 2/3 times 2/1. And we all know how to multiply fractions. It's numerator times numerator, which is 4, and then denominator times denominator, 3 times 1, which is 3. We do have an improper fraction in this case, so you'd have to do a division and know that 3 goes into 4 one time with 1 left over, and remember the denominator stays the same. So really, division of fractions is the same as multiplication of fractions. You just flip over or find the reciprocal of your second fraction. Let's look at another example. Remember, we're going to keep, change, flip. So 1/4 divided by 3/5. We're going to keep, 1/4 stays the same. We're going to change, division becomes multiplication, and we're going to flip and find the reciprocal, so 3/5 becomes 5/3. Now let's just multiply like we've been doing. 1 times 5 is 5, and 4 times 3 is 12. This is a proper fraction, so we don't have to divide, and it can't be simplified, so we are done. 1/4 divided by 3/5 is 5/12. One more example. Keep, change, flip. 3 divided by 4/7. Now with a whole number, we're going to do what we've always done and just put a 1 underneath it. So when we keep that 3, we're going to make it a fraction though. Put a 1 underneath it. We've been doing that for weeks, so you know that when there's a whole number, just put a 1 right underneath it. So it's still a whole number, 3/1. We're going to change, division becomes multiplication, and 4/7 flips and becomes 7/4. Let's multiply. 3 times 7 is 21, and then 1 times 4 is 4. We have an improper fraction, so we need to do a quick little division problem. 21 divided by 4, and I know that 4 times 5 is 20, so when I subtract, I have 1 left over, which means my whole number is 5, because that was my answer, and my remainder is 1, so that's going to be my numerator, and the denominator always stays the same. So the only thing new you have learned is keep, change, flip. The first fraction stays, the division symbol becomes multiplication, and the second fraction flips upside down.